Welcome to the DSEF. The Direct Selling Executives Forum was created to be a place where real direct selling executives and vendors in the space can come out and share solutions to challenges that face us all in the marketplace. Our guest today is going to be unpacking a topic and sharing their raw thoughts for you to learn from. All right, let's go meet our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Direct Selling Executives Forum's open forum. This is our next episode in the Women in Leadership series. And before we kick off the episode with Umair and Charla, our guests today, I'm just wildly excited about the topics we're going to be unpacking today. Today is all about crafting an irresistible offer. And Charla Gervers is one of those people that when we talk about this inside of the forum that you say, you've served a number of different direct selling companies through some really interesting times and have just a lot to share on the topic. And so for those of you who haven't heard of Charla before or met her before, check her out on LinkedIn. Her profile's in the show notes. And something that I've always appreciated about her, if you read from her bio, she talks about her approach to serving the whole person and the whole business. And always the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. And as I've seen her lead teams and work through relationships with leaders and direct selling, whether it was dresses for little girls and their moms or now energy companies, right? I have seen and everything in between. Like you have such an interesting past of kind of the different special projects you got to speak into. Charla's really had an ability to kind of step back and see the bigger picture. And I've appreciated that about you. And so with that, I want to go ahead and pass it to Umair, and we'll go ahead and get started with the session today.
Welcome, Charla. It's lovely to have you today, and we're diving into what really separates offers that convert from those that get ignored. The topic for today is crafting an irresistible offer. So, Charla, you've got an incredible story in this space. Where did it all begin? For all of those listeners, who have not met you before, what brought you to the place you are today?
Oh, wow. That brought me to the place. A lot of amazing people, I will say that. But what introduced me to the world of direct selling is I was working for S.C. Johnson up in Wisconsin, and I am a Texas girl, and I traded 10 months of summer for 10 months of winter and finally decided I was done and I needed to get back to Texas. And the company that I found a job with was a direct selling company. Now, unbeknownst to me, I was retail at S.C. Johnson, working on the Raid, Glade, Windex brands. I didn't understand what direct selling was until I started going to events and went to several events before I really had my aha moment. So I always say people either get it or they don't. And I did not get it in the beginning. I'm watching testimonials and hearing testimonials. I'm like, but they're all salespeople. Like nobody's buying anything today. I just didn't conceptually understand how that fills people's spirits and how it just really reinvigorates people to hear that their products are working and making people happy. And then I did get it. A woman shared on stage about her little boy that had an advanced aging disease called progeria. And it was a nutritional supplement company. And, I see a video of him where his arthritis pain is so bad he couldn't open the presents. And then I see him on stage and he's tugging on his mom's jacket and doing the things that you want a 5-year-old kid to do. And I was like, yay, good nutrition is good for everybody, right? And all of a sudden, she said the words that changed me forever when she said that his life expectancy was only 9 years. But because of the opportunity that she had in this industry, she would get to be there all 9 years. She didn't have to have somebody else take him to the doctor's appointments with all the poking and prodding his little heart was never going to understand. She got to be mom. And that I was bawling through the event. People like, okay. I was like, no, but yes, no, I'm not okay. But that changed me. That changed something in me. And I've always been even more passionate about the opportunity than the product. The product has to be best in class. We have to be better than what you can get at the store, period. Yep. I don't know what the product is. It just has to be. That's the only way you're going to survive in direct selling. But the opportunity that we give has always been the thing that I am most passionate about. And the system that we can teach anybody without any kind of degree or pedigree. They can come in and they can do this, and they can take an ordinary person like me and they can make something extraordinary out of their life. That's the American dream. That's to me, that's Chicken Soup for the Soul book, story after story after story of our industry and our people being able to do that. So that's what got me here. And that's what's fueled my fire since day one.
Oh.
Just every company that I have had the privilege of being with, I've picked up new little pieces and new nuances about what makes each culture different, what makes products special, what makes the system special, like all of that. And I think I've been through enough seasons that certain things worked in certain eras, and then it moved to this, and then it moved to
Yeah.
that, and then what's old is new again. And I think that's where we are
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
fun to watch the industry evolve and just be adaptable. I think that's the number one thing that, if you're
Yeah.
adaptable, you're gonna be able to thrive. If you're not and you're in a fixed position about something, well, that's gonna be a little bit harder. So
I love what you said about how the old
Yeah.
is new and then is new again and
Yeah.
the old is in again. We've so experienced that just these last 2 years in our world, even through the DSEF of other speakers.
Yeah.
It feels like in certain ways it's 2014 to 16 again on certain parts of our business in the sense that like maybe social media, maybe it's AI, maybe it's made us hungrier for real connections than ever before because like yeah, the folks who are having authentic live events seem to be winning, right? So many
right,
times in the space
that's
right now,
right.
Charlotte. And it's like, yeah, I think we've all kind of gotten what's the trending hashtag the kids are saying the AI cringe. It's real, and there's like there's a whole thing of these relationships. And I love that you highlighted that story, Charlotte. I know
Yeah.
that's why I'm here too, is a story I heard on a Super Saturday changed my life of, man, if that can happen, what can happen in my life? And that's such a
Yeah.
powerful. We had another speaker talk about micro moments on the show, and I think that that's such a great micro moment to think about and to kind of package and can in a way for anyone who's listening is like, what there's got to be those moments where it's like, yeah, that makes it worth it, and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
real. Got to feel
That's
that.
true.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And
you
you said
have,
about the connection. We just had a leadership event with our top 50 leaders
Oh,
and
fun.
asked them what they wanted to get out of the event. And
yeah.
like I will always ask that through the years. I've asked it for 26 years in the industry. I would, systems and, how to read reports, or I don't even know, like
Sure.
how to better market
Yeah.
my business, how to do events better, things like that.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know that the list did not include that? 90% of what was on that list was camaraderie, connection,
Yeah.
meeting other leaders, seeing other ways of doing things, but more importantly, meeting the humans behind it. Like
Yeah.
that was the theme of what they wanted out of it. And it just exactly like you're
Yeah.
saying, we're the most connected, but not connected we've ever been in the history of ever. How do you have this connection on a phone and you can see
Yeah.
somebody's life, but yet completely disconnected feeling?
And you're recognizing something we all see is that social media has likely made us lonelier than ever before, as the studies say.
Yeah.
There's actually a loneliness epidemic, is what the Health General said here in the US. And
Mhm.
it's very interesting for our referral marketing high trust business. So that's a big part of the offers. When we talk about crafting irresistible offers, like part of what we offer is community, right? And
Yeah.
direct
Yeah.
sales. Like it's part of
Yeah.
the
The
story.
real
So
connection. Right. So love the energy, Charlie, though. You have recently launched a new referral marketing program at Think Plus, where customers pay nothing out of their pocket and yet, capture savings out of bills they're already paying on for their home every month. What led you and the team down the road to create AutoSave?
Not just about the company and about amassing customers, but it was about putting the customer first and doing the right thing for the customer. So by definition, the products that we are going to launch are going to be that irresistible offer, the win-win-win, the thing that feels like it's too good to be true. Like if there's one thing
Yeah.
we have to overcome consistently,
sure.
that's it. It sounds too good to be true. Try it out, you'll see. See for yourself. It's not too good to be true. It actually is that good because of the technology we have behind it. So it wasn't my
Oh,
idea, it was his. I'm just along for the ride and the crafting of the message and really making sure that we teach our sales force how to market it appropriately and not oversell it. You don't need to oversell something that's solid,
Yeah.
right? We can solid base hit. You don't have to go for the home run every single time. Let's get this solid base hit with something that is irresistible and just keep that slow and steady pace to win the day.
I love about what you
Right.
just
Right.
shared, Charla. We talk about book recommendations all the time on the show, and what you just said about try it and amp it up from Frank Slotman. This was the whole crew that built Snowflake, right, all the way through just this massive server co over the years. And they said your salespeople become unstoppable when literally all they have to say when they connect with someone is try it, you might like it. And
Right.
I love that line of when you have crafted such an offer that's like so compelling and people are like, huh, yeah. And when you can say like, hey, just try it, you might like it. And you have
Yeah.
those low barrier ways for someone to experience it, there's not a lot to overcome when the product sells itself. Tom Big Al Schreider spoke on our show 2 seasons ago, and Tom talked about the pyramid of marketing. And I think this is a very important thought for those who, as Charlie gets in the frameworks, he says that he's like, Ben, do you see any hype meetings for TikTok salespeople? Early in the morning where they get them all hyped to go door to door to pitch TikTok. I said, no, no, Tom, no one pitches TikTok. He's like, yeah, because the product's so good. They don't have salespeople. Everyone
Yeah.
just shares it. And so what Tom was alluding to is that the pinnacle of there's a pyramid is creating this part of this irresistible offer conversation is creating a product so good that it actually doesn't need a lot of explanation like TikTok. And he said, well, if it's not that good, it needs marketing. And then if it's still not that good, it needs a sale, right? People only buy it when it's
Yeah.
on sale. Think Kohl's Cash, everybody. You don't want to be requiring Kohl's Cash for someone to buy your product, right? So as we jump into frameworks, I
Yeah.
love where Charles is going because try it, you might like it. If you can get there, guys, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool, pretty fun. So I'm pumped to hear more.
So let's talk about the frameworks. If you had to share a framework with us so we could apply these principles, that guided you to our own organization, what would that framework be?
I would say it's pretty simple. Everybody, and I'm just saying it from the standpoint of something everybody else can apply to their business.
Yep.
Everybody has a customer, right? You've got the company, and then you have the
Yeah.
sales. We call them energy advisors. They're your consultant,
Yep.
whatever your independent business representatives are. Those are the three constituents. And simply put, until it is a win-win-win, it's not going to work. It's not irresistible because if
Yeah.
it's not a win for the company, it's not sustainable. It's short term, right? It's to spark
Yeah.
it or a promotion or whatever. If it's not a win for the business person, they're not going to be out there selling it, right? Then you're going to have to do the marketing as the company. And if it's not a win for the customer, then it's probably not the right thing to be offering. And I'm just saying that from my moral compass. I'll say it like that. But when you can get the win-win-win across those three audiences, because I will say this, companies run out of cash. And that's the one that a lot of times the company's not put on the place of where it really needs to be to sustain operations.
Yep.
You've got to be able to have that. That's just and in the world that we live in, finding the way, and I think that's the question I would ask is how can we get to a win-win-win? And until you've gotten to that place and you find what that is, you're not there yet. I had the privilege at SC Johnson of working on a team that was called the Stretch Innovation Team. And it was projects or concepts that were tested with consumers that scored very, very high with consumers. So they wanted it, they were willing to pay for it. But the reason that there's this team is because they were either technologically not feasible or financially not feasible. And our job was to find out the go-to-market strategy to solve both of those or either of those situations. And every bit of that was so early in my career that it just framed the thinking of, okay, well, how can we? And it's just never a can we or not. It's not, binary. It's the how can we. And then you're putting that in your brain before you go to sleep every night. So it repeats and solves your problems for you. And you do it until you find it. I would say that relentless spirit to find the win-win-win and not compromise, that's the key. And bringing in other voices to the conversation. So autosave is a win across the board because customers. So let's just say, Ben, you're paying your electric bill and you live in New Jersey or one of our mid-Atlantic states. You are already paying that electric bill. We know that upwards of 80 to almost 90% of customers are with the utility, the incumbent.
Sure.
Okay. And there's an incumbent in those states and others there's not necessarily. So most people, when deregulation hit, they tried suppliers. Now they've gone back to the utility because they've gotten burned with variable rates. For whatever, everybody's got a story. So that's why they're back. They're playing it safe with the utility. So if that's the case, autosave, this is our customer offer is that you are guaranteed never to pay more than the utility. So we will save you. And we, as our broker, Think Home Solutions, looks at Think Energy rates and looks at the rates for the utility. My broken wrist here, sorry.
That's all right. If anyone asks on the stream, we'll just say you should see the other guy. So that's how it works when you're in New Jersey. That's all right. That's okay. That's my favorite line. My favorite line on an injury. It's okay. Charla's kind. It's all right. All good. No, but this part's important to understand how it was crafted because this is where you're going to hear the problem Charla and the team are solving for the consumer. So I don't interrupt this time, as fun as this is on the podcast. So main utility and then your own rates, and you're
Yeah,
a broker.
Yeah.
How does it
right.
work? This is good.
So Think Home
Yeah.
Solutions is
Mhm.
constantly monitoring the utility rates in all the markets that we operate. So it's utility by utility. It's not just the whole
Mhm.
state of New Jersey. You might
Yep.
be in, JCP&L is one of the utilities there. And so we're looking at when they set their rates, and they don't always set them at the same time. Sometimes they change them during the month.
Mm.
And so it's something that's very difficult to administer if you're doing things the old fashioned way. We've got and I'm just going to call it a smart technology because that's way over my head. I'm
Sure.
the chief growth officer, not tech or, IT. But we've got some brilliant data scientists who have built something that allows that to happen in an aggregate way and make
Yeah.
sure we're making the switches that are necessary and that we're pricing people in the places that are necessary to when we can't serve them and it doesn't make sense, so it's not going to be a win for the company and for the customer, then they're going to be with the utility. When it can be a win
Yeah.
for the company and the customer, they're going to be with Think Energy. And because we're the Think Home Solutions is our broker that does this, it's a dynamic process, but those customers are never going to pay more from the utility. All they're going to do is stand the chance of saving when we can serve them. And that's the guarantee there is that they'll never pay more than the utility, and try it. You might actually save a lot more than you think you might. And we've got people that are
Yeah.
saving anywhere from 5 to upwards of 20% any given
Wow.
month in, the time that we launched it. We launched it last summer. So what are we now?
That's
7 or 8 months in?
great. It's the smart arbitrage. It's just such a cool thought for the consumer because does the consumer really need to ever shop their rate again once they've trusted you to do the smart arbitrage? They don't. And that's the exciting thought. I've seen when you told me about it, it reminded me of an app I got on my mobile phone last year. I buy a lot of flights as we travel around with customers, as you can imagine. And I got the Jetback app. And the Jetback app I thought, wow, this is cool. I get texts all the time because anytime my staff books a flight, forward it in the jetback. And if the airlines ever make the flight cheaper, it automatically processes the refund of the credit. So it just stacks up flight credits like crazy, and you never have to think about it. You never do it. And you're doing without needing a credit, you're doing it for folks' electricity bills. Cool thought of the trust that you're creating there, I think is great. It's not one more thing for them to think about monthly. It's
Right.
one thing that they can think about now where they realize, oh, now I don't have to think about this
That's right.
monthly. And
That's
man, when you can help your consumer have less mind share, like, hey, the value about a product is after you do it, you don't got to think about the product. Then when
Yeah.
their friends complain about it, they're like, oh, you didn't even do autosave yet? Like, oh, why are you even thinking about that? You should have done this. And it's viral from your customers. And that's the other part of your win-win-win framework I really like that I hope you guys caught this as you were listening to Charla break that
Yeah.
down, is that in a win-win-win framework, of course, the referral marketer who wants to earn the commission is excited and they're going to continue referring. Of course, the company is okay with more people buying that offer because they're still winning. But the part that a lot of you miss at times is if it's a major win for the customer like that, you get all
Yeah.
that organic stuff too of just the
True.
customer sharing praise with their own friends. People have tried to think they're win-win-win, but it doesn't always work. And I love this next question from the panel that Umair's got, just because we can talk about where this goes wrong. So let's jump into that, Umair. We'll grab what they wrote.
Yep. So
Yeah.
we're talking about the pitfalls. So what are the pitfalls do we need to avoid with win-win-win framework?
I think a lot of times we sell ourselves on the fact that we think it's a win-win-win, right? Like we do. We
Yeah.
don't necessarily shop it with the energy advisor or your
Yep.
consultant. We
Yep.
don't
Yeah.
actually road test it with customers. We don't fully understand the messaging. And then, a lot of times we'll either get ourselves into a place where we're over-promising something and in trouble with your legal teams,
Yeah.
or we're, so conservative on what we actually can say about it, even if it's the truth, because
Yep.
of the
Yeah.
world and the reality of the direct selling world we live in
Yep.
today, right?
Yep.
Like we craft something and then it's like, well, we can't actually explain the value proposition properly. We can't
Yeah.
explain it in a clear way that it could go viral. And I think that is part of our challenges in industry right now is just because it's true doesn't mean you can say it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just across so many parts of our world and industry right now.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
That being said, it takes an army to go out and do the education, and it takes an army to go out and do it in the proper way. And a lot of times that does require more training than your part-time soccer mom is willing to do.
Yeah.
So I think there are definitely some pitfalls, and I think ultimately it is about making sure you nail the messaging the first time out of the gate, that the training is there, that it's as simple as it
Yeah.
can be, that you
Yeah,
simplify
amen.
the value prop to the key words, and then explain why is that phrased exactly this way? We're not saying it
Yeah.
14 other ways. We're saying it the same way every single time. And that's the repeater station so that people can catch it quickly too. We found plenty of pitfalls in it. And then I'm sure on our operations side, they'd have a whole list themselves, but I'm just talking more
Sure.
from the marketing side. Anytime you're doing something new that's never been done and that we're writing the playbook on it as we have been developing it. Yeah, they had a lot of modeling and used a lot of data from the customers that we had prior to, know that this was going to work, be feasible, all the things. But when you're actually administering it and you're moving thousands of customers and all of that is
Yeah.
dynamically happening, it takes, just a different eye. Like, do we have the right QC tools in
Yeah.
place and all that kind of stuff? So it's been a pretty heroic effort. And all I can say is that hats off to our operations
Sure.
team, but they're brilliant, they're geniuses. And I just kind of, am enamored by what they can do. But that smart technologies unlock some really powerful pieces for
Yeah.
how to do things. Like there's a thing called a capacity tag that's set by the utility at a certain window in
Mhm.
those markets. And by having this product and even attaching smart thermostats, if people connect their smart thermostats, we can actually help them reset their capacity tags in a better way that allows us to be able to serve them better.
Yeah.
I don't know all the technology behind it, so I'd be lying if I even said another
Sure.
sentence. But it's this extra unlock that's there, that's available too, so that not just in this first year we serve you when we can, but then we unlock the value to be able to serve you even more in future years, which just deepens the trust, deepens the savings when a
Yeah.
company is coming
Sure.
in and nothing but straight line up is happening for projected energy rates. We're
Yeah.
literally facing an energy crisis right now
Yeah.
around the
Yeah.
and a solution like this that can give people faith that they don't have to sit there and constantly be shopping rates all the time, pretty compelling. And especially
Yes.
for your busy people like us, right? Like,
Yep.
I don't have time to be shopping energy rates. I'm
Yep.
busy. I've got people to serve and,
Yep.
Yeah.
businesses to help grow. And that's the main thing, not my electricity rate.
And a couple of those highlights are so important. I think that we can overcomplicate it when we say, oh, it's a win-win-win, and then it's not simple enough to where these folks can share it, right? So like big note from Charla that's one that I see again and again is like, oh, here's the promo sheet for this month. And you're like,
Yeah.
really? Like, oh, because imagine all the people who do your win-win-win offer and then they don't get the prize because they didn't follow the terms and conditions. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like we all know that's unfair and not what we want to do. And then you feel
Yeah.
bad because it wasn't fair. So then you give it to them anyway, but then it wasn't good for the company. And we have seen that again and again and
Yep.
again. So, and then the one though that I see the most out of those pitfalls that Charla highlight, I hope we get it. And this one takes some humility, gang. So it's hard, right? So here you are, you're on this podcast, you're serving, you're doing your stuff. So what's the humility here? It's that we thought it was enough to like the four of us in the boardroom could just figure it out together and like, oh yeah, of course they'll love that. Oh my gosh, they'll think that's perfect. Or maybe you got your favorite two field leaders you go
Yeah.
to and you said, well, I ran it by Judy and Mark and they loved it, so we're green light guys. And
Yeah.
sometimes you miss the distance between how it sounds and how it feels. And the most frustrating part of this means you got to slow down. It means like what I
Yeah.
hope you heard from Charla is like if you love your people and you love your customers, when I say your team, if you just truly want to be you want to love them and do well, you have to go slow enough so you can go fast by taking the time to make sure this does actually resonate with the different stakeholders that are involved. And that's frustrating. It's not the easy thing you want to probably hear on the
Yeah.
podcast today. You probably guys weren't excited about that. And what's interesting is we've seen people go too slow, and that's a problem too. So just as an example, like one of some of the things Mary and I teach all the time from our marketing system work we do in the direct selling space is the iterations of messaging content. We teach this all the time. And if
Yeah.
you just rewind, Charles, at the beginning of the call, we're saying sometimes it feels like it's 2014, 15, 16 again right now in the market. Like some of the brands that were huge in 2018, like pick on Avon
Yeah.
presale, right? Something that I've always admired about Avon, and I've good friends running Pampered Chef today, but like Nevena Sabreva's practically my neighbor. She lives right over here by my acreage in Chicago, so I love the work Nevena's doing and Vikram and the team there today. But if you rewind before Nevena was running the show at Pampered Chef, you could go back 8 years, guys, with me for a second. If you think about some of the older party plant companies, this will help with the go slow, go fast conversation. Is
Yeah.
Avon was killing it. They were 6 billion plus a year in sales at this time, and 7.2, I believe, at their peak. And
Hmm.
we can go. Someone's going to fact check me on Google. Go ahead and fact check away. But what they did that they were known for was their iterations. Okay, and this is what's important is if you look at Pampered Chef at that time, they had two content launches a year, right? They had fall, winter, spring, summer. It's not that they were lazy. That's they care deeply about those content launches, and that's what they trained the field, and that's how they ran the whole group at that time. Two launches a year, and many of you who are on this line do the same thing. You have two a year.
Yeah.
Maybe you do it in seasons, and you do four different content launches a year. When Avon was at their peak before the drama, do you know how many they did a year? Many. Some of you worked there. Do you guys have a guess? They did 24. They did every 2 weeks another
Wow.
Wow.
campaign like this, gang, of their irresistible offer, their promotion. It was more than just a promotion. It was what they built.
Yeah.
And they did it in a way where it didn't cause a bunch of retraining and everything else. They got into doing the work of listening and doing the work of that. And that was a big part of their world. And I think we can learn from that is like Charla said today, is like you got to do the work to love people enough to make sure that the win is actually a win for the stakeholder. I hope
Yeah.
everyone gets that. I that's the one I see the most when it comes to
Amen.
crafting offers is they think, oh, they'll get it. Oh, it'll work for them. We assume a little too much, right, at
Yep.
times. And so it's refreshing
Yeah.
to hear you come share that, Charla.
What is the first step you would encourage anyone who's listening today to take with all you've shared in this episode?
I think anytime you listen to a podcast, anytime you listen to any kind of content, we tend to go, I'll speak for myself. I tend to go back to my day. I tend to go right on into the next appointment, the next thing. And oh, that was awesome. I'll take the notes, and I'm taking notes as we're doing this.
Sure.
And I'll
Yeah.
just rush on into the rest of my day. And then I miss the value that was there. I don't actually
Yeah.
do anything different as a result of it. So
Yeah.
I would say if you're in a place where you could benefit from some traction with your customers, your margin, and your sales representatives, then just press pause and schedule time with yourself. Schedule time with
Yes.
Yeah.
thought leaders. If you're you're an internal thinker processor and you need time with you, then schedule
Yeah.
time for you to think through this and how can you craft an irresistible offer. If you're an external processor like me and you need other people to brainstorm, then put the group together and lock yourselves in a room and come out with what is that irresistible offer. I think there's so many times we just want to get you said 24 launches.
Yeah.
We're just trying to find the next thing to launch
Yep.
and the next. And
Yep.
it's like, okay, check, got that. Okay, check, I've got April lined up. I've got May lined up.
Yep.
And we're just trying to get ahead enough to be able to run the business and run it in a responsible way that we don't pause
Yeah.
and pull back and say,
Sure.
well, what could we do to
Yeah.
reinvent this? How could we show up completely different? So much so that we're fast forwarding the company into the next version of who we are as a company because this kind of offer could define who we are. What if
Yeah.
you didn't need as many products? What if you didn't need as many offers? What if the one thing you could find that one thing that is that win-win-win, that's it? That's really, and then it's just about scale. It's about market share. That would be my questions to ask. And knowing that everybody has such diverse businesses, I know
Yeah.
some of it's foolish to say, so take it with a grain of salt if it doesn't apply to your business. But give yourself the time to really pause and ask yourself the hard question. And maybe it is
Yeah.
we're listening to the wrong people. I'm certainly guilty of that, of listening to the wrong groups of people in the field, not going to the newest person. Like I would say, if there's one common denominator in every turnaround situation I've been in company wise in my past, it was you lost sight of the new people. We lost sight of the
Yeah.
and what they needed, and we were catering to the people up here in the mid ranks, and we weren't catering to the newest person, and they felt overwhelmed and all the things that are the opposite of being empowered to go and run a business. So if you're in
Yeah.
a business, I would say look at your newest people, listen to your newest people, what do they understand and not? What do they need in order to really, what do they sell versus everybody else? If you're in a product-based company, like literally there's major differences, right? Between
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
person and what they're capable of and your senior people and what they're capable of. And it's easy to listen to the senior people because they sure do have experience.
Sure.
But there
Yeah.
comes a point where that becomes dangerous because the new person can't duplicate it. And
Yeah.
that would,
Yeah.
if I would say that's the one thing that could have saved companies, that would be the one thing, is just never take
Yeah.
off your new EA. If I had just one message to give to the direct selling industry, never, ever, ever take your eyes off of your newest business people. That's the most important thing, because that's next year, that's the next 5 years, right? That's
Sure.
but it's easy to, and we all have done it, I think. If
Yes.
there's somebody out there who hasn't, then hats off to you, because that is it's easy to do, I think. I think it's easy to do, and it's a natural evolution of the relationships. And
Agreed.
Yeah.
thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be a part of this. Thank you both.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be part
Wow.
of the Selling Education Foundation, and just to be, I've learned so much from others in this industry that it's
Yeah.
an honor to be able to pay it forward and give some of that back.
Blessed to have you here, Charla. I know all the travel schedules.
Yeah.
It's always tough to connect. And Umair, thanks for hosting today. So that's your step, gang. Pause the podcast and book a date with yourself in your calendar to take some
Yeah.
action. I love that. I actually live and breathe out of iCal as well,
Yeah.
Charla. I run on Jesus and iCal, and coffee is my whole life. So I feel that with you big
Yeah.
time. And Deep, for those of you that are watching on one of the streams outside of the DSEF, if you're not familiar with Direct Selling Executives Forum, you can go to directselling.executivesforum.org. You can check out the education for free as a direct selling executive. We just bet that you are indeed a direct selling executive when you register. It's absolutely free. And if you have a future topic you would like a forum guest to answer, just like the people suggested offers where we went out and sought out Charla for this, you post it in the LinkedIn community. That's where we're wildly most active. Once again, absolutely free. And just keep doing great work that's changing people's lives, guys. I love this space, and I know you do too if you're here listening. And so, yeah, just know that your work matters every day in the stuff that you do.
Yeah.
Have an amazing day, everybody. We'll see you soon. If you haven't yet joined the DSEF group on LinkedIn, go to directSellingExecutiveForum.com or go on LinkedIn and search for Direct Selling Executive Forum to apply. The group is free and is an invite-only community of direct selling executives by direct selling executives.